Have you ever wondered what would have happened if Qui-Gon Jinn would not have died when he fought Darth Maul? I always have. I wondered if maybe him becoming Anakin's master would have made him not fall to the dark side. And there's a lot of things that I wonder what might have happened if he had not died.
Keep your concentration here and now where it belongs.
Would Count Dooku have still fallen to the dark side? Because I think that Qui-Gon Jinn getting killed was actually what finally pushed him to become the Sith Lord that he was. So there's a lot of things that, in an alternate universe, if Qui-Gon Jinn would have lived, then things would have changed. Would Obi-Wan have been ready for his Jedi Knight promotion?
An apprentice you have, Qui-Gon. Impossible to take out a second.
The code forbids it.
Obi-Wan is ready.
I am ready to face the trials.
I think he probably would have, because they talked about it in the Phantom Menace. They were talking about Qui-Gon Jinn taking over as Anakin's master. Qui-Gon's like, Obi-Wan, you're ready for the next step, which is to become a Jedi Knight. So, well, there's an article that I read, and it was really interesting, and it talks about how Palpatine was scared of Qui-Gon Jinn and thought it was his greatest threat. And so I'm going to read it for you and we will go through it. Why Qui-Gon Jinn was Palpatine's greatest threat. It says, unlike Yoda and the Jedi High Council, Qui-Gon Jinn was only concerned about the will of the Force. He was less concerned about politics and orthodoxy and happily paid the price for doing so, even rejecting his spot on the council in favor of following the Force in his own manner. And unlike his former master Count Dooku, he wasn't susceptible to the siren call of the dark side. His connection to the light side was too strong, and indeed his willingness to follow it over the dictates of the council made him far more dangerous to Palpatine's plans. With it, he could have detected the Sith Lord's plans far earlier than the council did, and his past with Dooku would have made it easy for him to spot the separatist schemes. Most importantly, his pledge to train Anakin in the ways of the Force would have doubtlessly been more successful than the well-meaning but inexperienced Obi-Wan. Not only would that have kept Anakin from succumbing to the dark side, but he might have prevented the galactic civil war in the first place, as well as fleshing out the Sith Lord before Palpatine was ready. Therefore, Palpatine needed Qui-Gon out of the way because he was better connected to the Force than any other Jedi. If Qui-Gon had survived the events of the Phantom Menace, he would have sensed Palpatine's evil, and Anakin wouldn't have become Darth Vader. Everything hinged on removing him early, almost as soon as Palpatine became aware of his presence. And indeed, once Qui-Gon was out of the way, he moved very quickly to insinuate himself with Anakin, taking advantage of his foe's death while the other Jedi were still mourning him. Thus, while Qui-Gon was less powerful than the likes of Yoda and Mace Windu, Palpatine feared him more. In simplest terms, he was a wild card, and with Sidious executing an intricate decades-long plan to seize power and destroy the Jedi, a wild card was something he just couldn't afford. When Qui-Gon Jinn showed up on Naboo and threatened to throw a bantha-sized wrench into his plot, Palpatine had to act fast. He dispatched Darth Maul to get rid of the Jedi Master once and for all. Maul was an unknown at the time and lacked both Dooku's ambition and Palpatine's capacity for plotting. He was simply an assassin, there to kill whom his master told him to, and otherwise unconnected to his larger schemes. And as Palpatine revealed again and again, his apprentices were all disposable. Qui-Gon's arrival on Naboo would have alerted the future Emperor to his presence and allowed him to dispatch Maul. He admonished his apprentice to move against the Jedi first before returning Padme to Naboo, allowing him to strike down Qui-Gon early enough to keep the maverick Jedi from spoiling his plans further. Therefore, just like Yoda said, Palpatine's fear led to evil deeds, death, and the rise of the dark side. That all began with Qui-Gon's death, as Palpatine removed his biggest obstacle first and allowed his grand scheme to move forward. So what do you think? Do you think Qui-Gon was Palpatine's biggest fear? I do, because he got Qui-Gon out of the way and he was able to slide in and take over some of Anakin's training on the sly.
We are indebted to you for your bravery, Obi-Wan Kenobi. And you, young Skywalker. We will watch your career with great interest.
And like you said in the article, Obi-Wan was very inexperienced in that, and that allowed Palpatine to take control of Anakin. And I think that because more people weren't like Qui-Gon, that's what led to the downfall of the Jedi. They didn't follow the Force, they followed their doctrine and their mantras. They were more worried about their rules and regulations than they were about following the Force, kind of like Qui-Gon was. And a lot of people make the argument that Qui-Gon was more of a gray Jedi, which I really like the idea of a gray Jedi, where they take the light side and the dark side and they kind of like walk the line between it to create the balance of the Force. And a lot of people don't like that. And I know George Lucas didn't like that idea, but he's changed his mind before. And the gray Jedi is a great idea. I mean, you have these people that are trying to maintain the balance between the light side and the dark side. The light side wasn't innocent, and the dark side certainly wasn't innocent. And two wrongs don't make a right. But you have the gray Jedi, they're balancing it. I think Qui-Gon Jinn was the embodiment of what the gray Jedi should have been if they had made gray Jedi. So tell me what you think of this article. Do you think that Qui-Gon was the biggest obstacle for Palpatine at the time? And also, what do you think would have changed in the timeline if Qui-Gon Jinn would have lived? And if you are enjoying my videos, please hit that subscribe button and like this video. It really helps me out. And also, if you like this video, check this video out.